Burger King fires woman for working too hard by actual Justice Warrior. How does it work that you get fired for working too hard? You're making us you're costing us too much money because you're doing too much overtime. Fired. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Fuck, how does that even work?
Y'all need to get her some help up in here because she busted her behind. She's doing everything she needs to do to make sure everybody is okay up in here.
So what you just saw right there was an excerpt from a viral video that was popping off about a month ago, and the reason people got really into this particular video is because it features a Columbia, South Carolina Burger King where you have—
Wait a minute. Should I move over? It doesn't show anything. That could be a clip that okay. I can literally just move over because I don't want to cover the dude too much. I don't like this. I'll move over. Can I post a suggestion? Sure you can. Sure you can. Why not? All right, let's go.
One staffer, one woman, doing absolutely everything. She's working the entire 12-hour shift alone. Somebody noticed that she—
Dude, what? What the fuck? What the fuck? The entire 12-hour shift alone? Alone. Completely alone. Without anybody else. What the fuck are they doing?
Was working alone, so she's calling on Burger King to send help to this woman, and of course this led people to wonder who exactly was behind the counter, and it turns out it's a woman called Nakia Hamilton.
They ain't had nobody else to come in, so I had to work by myself, had to close by myself, had to do the dishes, do prep, do floor, do front counter, drive through. There ain't no shit now drive through it that people come in because it's too much to try to run and take orders. They got to run back, so it was a lot. Then last night I closed again by myself last night. I finally got help today. And she been here since 11 o'clock. She about to close with us at 11. So we just ain't got no employees. Nobody want to work no more. So.
Okay, so you have 3 children. You work 2 jobs. Kind of just tell people more about yourself and why you. Because some people on social media was like, I would have just closed the store and left. Like,
yeah.
Now, Nakia Hamilton turned out to be a 25-year-old mother of 3, and in subsequent interviews, when they asked her what was going on at this particular location, she said that the reason she puts in so much work is because she's trying to provide for her kids. Again, a very wholesome expression from her.
Where the fuck is the father? Every single time. Every single time something like this happens. Where the fuck is the father? I mean, I know where the father is. Unfortunately, but where? Stereotypes. No clue what she's saying. Me neither, but I can still understand her. She basically just works her ass off alone in a McDonald's for 12 hours without anybody else there. What the fuck?
And of course, because employees keep dropping at this Burger King like crazy, and basically it took a couple of days for them to actually have somebody available so that they could at least have 2 staffers at this location. And by the way, this is something that people have taken note of since the pandemic. A lot of people don't want to return back to work at these various locations. And to be clear, a lot of these jobs end up being filled by illegal aliens in order to close the gap, because a lot of Americans are just not interested in this job. That being said, Nakia Hamilton obviously sparked an interest in a lot of people.
That is the problem. Nobody wants to work these jobs because it doesn't pay well. We completely devalued them, and the fun fact is that even I'm gonna say this straight up. She's a Zoomer, right? So this hits. Gen Z is facing a career crisis. A degree does no longer give you a job. There's no job security whatsoever anywhere. It just doesn't exist. That's a huge problem. They cry that they need workers. They cry that they need you know, especially, for example, here in Germany, they cry about not having, like, experienced workers and shit. Well, you don't want to actually create any experienced workers, so stop crying, by the way. We have a huge problem, which is that nobody is willing to do this work because the work is ungrateful. And even if you get higher education, you're still fucked because you can't get a job. Milk, the dad needed to get milk. A classic.
across the country, because there's something about that Protestant work ethic, people really hustling, even at a job like Burger King, doing it in order to provide for their family, that speaks to the desires that all of us have as people. So of course, Nakia was celebrated. She was given glorious local news interviews, and I believe at some point in time, somebody offered her what she really wants, which was money. And by the way, I actually saw an excerpt of the interview where one of her spokespeople spoke on her behalf and made that absolutely clear. Let me play that clip for you.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And it seemed like everybody was kind of happy with this whole situation. Well, fast forward 1 month later, and Burger King has fired this woman. They have decided that they're going to
Wait, I didn't get this one. Again, back.
Nakia was celebrated. She was given glorious local news interviews, and I believe at some point in time, somebody offered her what she really wants, which was money. And by the way, I actually saw an excerpt of the interview where one of her spokespeople spoke on her behalf and made that absolutely clear. Let me play that clip for you.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And it seemed like everybody was kind of happy.
Okay. So she was, in fact, offered money, but not by Burger King, by somebody else. From someone else. Okay. And then Burger King fired her. Are these... There's somebody in your Burger King busting her ass, putting in the work to keep this location alive, and you fire her. I wonder who the replacement is
with this whole situation. Well, fast forward 1 month later, and Burger King has fired this woman. They have decided that they're going to dismiss her, throw her out like she's trash, and this is obviously upsetting a lot of people, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
What made you want to stay?
Because, shout out to my general manager, Rhonda. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't have no job. Because I do have a record. And it's hard to find a job with a record. And but by grace of God, she gave me a job. So that's the only reason why I stayed for it. Because if I know it went for her, I wouldn't have a job.
So basically, to you, some people will say this is negative, but for you, you have a second chance.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I got 3 kids to take care of. Ain't nobody going to be take care of them. I'm a single mother, so I still got to feed them. And I got.
I think we should beat the living daylights out of deadbeat fathers. Not confused with fathers who want to be there but the mother denies them, obviously. This is not normal. And I know that this is a huge issue for especially for black people, where fathers are just absent. This is bullshit. This should have severe punishment by society. You should be treated like an outcast if you leave your child behind without a genuine reason. Which is like, the mother doesn't want you around, you want to participate, but the mother's like a bitch, right? That's a different situation. What is this bullshit? She's so optimistic. Yeah, I couldn't be optimistic. I'd be infuriated. It's just like, what the fuck are we doing? This is not normal. This cannot continue.
My child's about to go to school,
So look, I'm gonna link this whole interview.
See, and this is like a devil's circle, whatever you want to call it, right? She's a single mom. If she has daughters, they're gonna be likely to be single moms. If she has sons, they're likely to be criminals, more likely to be criminals, and do worse overall. And then you get more like this is this is just like it goes on and goes on and goes on for each generation. This can no longer continue. This is troublesome. This is troublesome. Where are the fathers? What the fuck is going on?
Review in the description of this video, because while normally I would like to make comments on whether or not her eyes are actually that color or not, or talk about her tattoos or something to distract you from the story.
I didn't even take that into consideration, her eyes or tattoos. I'm just infuriated she got fired. This is pissing me off. What the fuck is this?
Story at hand, the fact of the matter is this woman is so sweet and earnest in this particular interview. I absolutely love everything about her. The fact that she considers a job at Burger King a gift from God, and she wants to show up and show out because somebody recommended her for this, and she knows it's not just her reputation, it is the reputation of that person, to me is so wholesome. And I really genuinely hope that this woman gets back on her feet and maybe gets hired at some job that honestly pays better, offers better benefits, where she doesn't have to hustle so much in order to make ends meet, because this is somebody.
Whoever takes this woman, right? Whoever takes this woman, whoever gives this woman a job, has a genuine hard worker. Whoever gives this woman a job, you're gonna have a genuine hard worker. Because if somebody puts up for 12 hours alone at a workplace, that's worth something. I need a Superman shirt. It looks fine.
With the right mentality. This is somebody who appears to be dedicated to working hard for success. And I mean, come on, local bank in and around this area, get this woman behind the glass, air-conditioned room, give her a salary with benefits, consistent hours, and believe me, even if it takes her a minute to get up to speed with all the procedures at your particular bank, the PR dividends will definitely pay due, because obviously there's just something wholesome and inspirational about somebody who's willing to put that much work in, not just for herself, not just for her children, but for anybody who vouches for her.
Because I do have a record, and it's hard to find a job with a record. And by grace of God, she gave me a job. So that's the only reason why I stayed for it, because if I know it went for her, I wouldn't have a job.
And by the way, don't think I didn't hear her say that she has a record. Again, this actually makes it more wholesome, because rather than going back onto the streets and reoffending, it appears that she's actually changed her ways. Again, she not only has this job at Burger King, which she treats as a second chance and as a gift from God, she also holds down an additional job, so she's trying to do right, she's trying to do better, and even though she has a criminal past, obviously, she even says it, she's not using that as an excuse in order to prevent her from succeeding. She's using it as motivation for her reform, which again is one of the reasons why I find her to be so wholesome. But let us move on to her actually being fired from this Burger King location.
Back in June, video of Nakia Hamilton doing her job went viral, and she was praised for her work ethic. She ended up becoming one of our paid forward recipients just weeks after that video went viral. She was shown working 12 hours plus, holding down the fort so that Burger King could remain open.
I be missing
12 hours plus, actually. Burger King, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know my kids' life, and I work a lot, so I be having to provide for them, and I really don't be having time to spend with them, and it hurts me a lot.
So the local news segment that talks about her getting fired starts off with a segment from that full interview, which will also be linked in the description, where Nakia talks about how she doesn't feel like she spends a lot of time with her kids, and yes, that
Well, that is true, right? If you're working 12 hours, that is... What's the average work day here? 8 hours? Obviously. That is terrifying.
is genuinely sad. Then we transition into the explanation from this local news agency, and honestly, people, I don't know what to say other than to support your local news agencies, because the broadcast quality that they got over there, not very good, not very impressive. The audio engineer, I don't know if they were asleep at the wheel. Maybe they could hire Nakia Hamilton to run this whole studio. She might do a better job than the people behind the scenes, because I'm just gonna say I'm a little bit not impressed. I'm a little bit disappointed with the audio quality and the pitching in and out of the mics and whatnot. And just do better, local news affiliate.
Well, now she is going viral once again after she is reportedly saying she was fired. Our Berlice Pimentel, you had a chance to speak with Nakia today. I mean, a lot of people kind of shocked at what she served up today, the news.
Yeah, and Nakia Hamilton says since we first aired her story, she's gone viral and working conditions have not improved, even with all that attention it was getting. She says Burger King fired her last week and says the way they've treated her is wrong. Nakia says her frustrations come from all the days she put sweat and tears into keeping the store running all by herself.
So I'm going to be perfectly honest with everybody out there in the audience. I don't know the truth of Nakia Hamilton's tardy record or not. I don't know if the manager actually did examine 2 weeks worth of login times or sign-in times or whatever, and discover that Nakia Hamilton was coming late. And
this is just so evil. This is just so evil. Like, this is genuinely really, really evil. Like, firing a woman, a mom with 3 kids, being a hot worker, doing 12-hour plus shifts. What was the genuine reason, though? I feel like if like you have like basically the Burger King super mom, right? In that spot, right? Wouldn't that drive more customers there? I feel like that would have been the Burger King could have used that to their benefit. This is so stupid. This doesn't even make sense.
I also don't know the truth of this issue of whether or not she took paid time off, was granted that, and then they suddenly scheduled her on a time where she would basically have to blitz back from wherever she was in order to make a shift that was scheduled, again, that she was not on board with. I also find it weird that they're saying that they fired her or told her not to come in, then called her back later, told her to come in, then when she does come...
Okay, wait, I'm not getting this. What the fuck, huh? Bro, repeat.
Did examine 2 weeks worth of login times or sign-in times or whatever and discover that Nakia Hamilton was coming late. And I also don't know the truth of this issue of whether or not she took paid time off, was granted that, and then they suddenly scheduled her on a time where she would basically...
Wait. So there's a chance she took paid time off, right? Okay. And they scheduled her anyways, even though she had paid time off. Okay.
Basically have to blitz back from wherever she was in order to make a shift that was scheduled, again, that she was not on board with. I also find it weird that they're saying that they fired her or told her not to come in, then called her back later, told her...
They fired her, and then told her that she should come to work. What the fuck is going on there? What the fuck is this?
To come in, then when she does come in, they show her logs and say, oh, you were late this many times, therefore you're fired.
He says the company wrong.
So you're telling me that there's a chance that they fired her on, like, deliberately? They tricked her and fired her. They basically tricked her with paid time off, called her in. The paid time off was not registered as paid time off, basically. The chance, I think, is what he's alleging here. Which means she basically came late in. And they used that as an excuse to fire her. What the fuck is this?
Fully fired her after she was on approved time off and was scheduled to work the day she was coming back.
So I told them...
Wait, she can actually prove it! This sounds like a trap. What?
You know, I'm not gonna make it in time. I don't see how y'all schedule me at 12 knowing I'm leaving Charlotte at 11. And it take an hour and 30 minutes to get to work. Still got to drop kids off, still got to do everything.
Hamilton says they responded and told her she was terminated, so she didn't report to work the next day. But Burger King reached out and told her to report back to work the following day and to be on time. She says the franchise owner, Matt O'Doherty, went to look at her time logs for the past 2 weeks and told her she was late too often. Hamilton says O'Doherty lacked consideration and gave her a final write-up.
It just all sounds a little bit suspicious, a little bit curious. However, I won't...
It does sound a little bit like a trap. It does sound like that.
Put it past Nakia Hamilton, post getting all this attention for being a hard worker and whatnot, to show up late to work after the fact. That being said, I gotta be perfectly honest of what I actually think happened, because if we're being real, if we're being 100% genuine, this woman showing up 15 minutes late, an hour late, honestly, even though that would be a big deal if you were fully staffed, is nothing compared to the fact that you would not be able to be open without this woman operating this particular store. Because again, as reported by the local news media, the staffing shortages at this Burger King haven't actually improved since the airing of the segment. What I think is the real issue, in my humblest of humble opinions, is that Burger King corporate saw the attention on this particular worker, saw the attention on on their understaffed location, and they actually felt like it was bad PR to have this woman working so hard.
You know what that reminds me of? Roblox and Schlepp. Same, it has the same energy. Different topic, but it has the same energy. Somebody does the work that you're supposed to do more intensely than you can provide. And it's bad. You think it's bad PR, so you fire them / ban them. It's the exact same. It's the exact same energy I'm getting from this. You're punishing the wrong person. What the heck? It's the exact same energy. Wouldn't she be more on time just to act performative? This makes no sense. This wouldn't make no sense. I think this was just a deliberate trap. This is the same energy.
And complaining about how she doesn't get to see her kids, how the staffing hasn't been fixed, and they basically sent a signal down the pipeline to the franchise owner in order to figure out a way to remove this lady from Burger King, because again, she was a viral sensation.
Streisand effect. I'd play again. You try to hide something, it just gets more popular. Streisand effect at play here once again. Peak.
They felt like it probably reflected negatively on Burger King, so in a PR move that we are all too familiar with from these fast food companies, they decided to figure out a way to get rid of her, and ultimately it ends up making the company look significantly worse, because what a lot of people see from the outside looking in is a woman who was loyal to a company while the company was not loyal to her. And by the way, when I say we've seen this time and time again,
companies are not your friends. Don't be loyal to a company. Unless the company's loyal to you, but most companies are not loyal to you. They're only loyal to one thing, and that's money. And themselves. Go there, do your job, get the money, get out. If the company does not really appreciate you, I'm gonna be honest. They're not your friends. It is what it is. Maybe back in the day, you know, when companies were, smaller and, workers were more important. Maybe back then, but now that's no longer the case. Because, no job security.
One of the things that people don't seem to understand is that there are many stories about fast food employees doing something noble, stopping a crime from going on, fighting off an armed robber, or something of the sort. And in almost all of those particular stories, after the glowing local news coverage on said employee, word comes down from corporate and that employee ultimately ends up getting fired. Now, to be 100% clear, in those particular stories where it's a fast food worker intervening with a particular crime, they claim it's a liability issue. It's a store policy issue. There's nothing they can do. It's just too much of a risk to encourage the employee at a Dunkin' Donuts to stop an armed robber or anything of the sort. And honestly,
but I feel like that makes no sense. That does not make any sense. Why would you do that? Why would you fire somebody because of that? I feel like that's good PR. Like, just people coming to see the person that did that and ordering something is already money. That is money. Also, just encourage, it encourages this, just the bare minimum mentality, right? It just encouraged this, I don't need to work hard, I'll just do what I need to do, and that's it. They're not helping themselves. Also, it's like, why would I work at a company that, when I do, like, something good and they fire me, like, why would I work at such a company? To always look out for better jobs. Don't be a job hopper. Don't be a job hopper. That's not what I mean. Don't be a job hopper. Because, if you are, people don't like that either. I know such a person that is a job hopper. I have them in my family. I have him in my family. That did him not any good at all.
there might be some believability behind that. But what a lot of people don't seem to also understand is that typically those crime stories end up making the local news covers it, and then the firing comes down. So while the policy might be related to, again, the issue of liability and whatnot, the trigger point for the firings are typically local news reports or any kind of media attention. So in my opinion, even though it sounds like completely different scenarios, I actually think it might be a little bit closer connected than people realize. And this woman was essentially fired because they viewed her as an embarrassment, which honestly is more embarrassing for Burger King because she was dedicated. If I were Burger King, I would hold this woman up, put her in the managerial program, do whatever I gotta do to try to get this woman in line with the company and embracing the company, and maybe, just maybe, consider it offering her some kind of franchise ownership, maybe put in a manager so they could actually run the place while you put her through school for it, so that way you could be the company that is in line with the hardworking single mother. But it seems like they just wanted to get rid of this. They were sick of her complaining to the media about a lack of time off, not being able to see her kids, working so long, and of course the embarrassment, the humiliation of this woman running their entire operation and them not being able to onboard staff. And of course, her
well, what's more embarrassing now? Not having any workers or firing a mother of three? I wonder. It's generally recommended to job hop in the first few years, stay at each for a year, maybe two, switch, it helps. Maybe maybe a little bit, but most job hoppers do it until they retire. That's the problem. Not be a job hopper, but stay there at least a year. So after a year or so, start looking out. Fun fact, my dad did that. You know what that actually did? It denied him not only jobs, but also lowered his retirement money by a good chunk. I think it depends on where you live, but here in Germany, that is not a good idea. They will not hire you if you do it and do it consistently. They will not hire you, and you will get punished financially from it. So not a good idea. I guess it depends on where you live. Maybe in India it's different, but here in Germany, Austria, everything in the EU, not a good idea. Bad idea. Horrible idea. Most job hoppers do it their entire life. Not a good idea. Terrible idea. They don't want that here.
Doing this for not that much money.
I was like, how I get a final written warning when I never got in trouble with the company?
Hey guys, Editing Sean here, and I want to be 100% clear to everybody out there in the audience that I'm on Nakia Hamilton's side. I have support for Nakia Hamilton. I think she's a hard worker, and this is like corporate culture run amok. That being said, upon editing this video, I just heard a smoke detector chime in this woman's home. And again, I will ask, what the hell is going on with a certain segment of the black population with these damn smoke detectors? Do you not realize that when that thing is beeping all the time, it is time to change your battery? True.
Oh, she's Christian. That's cool. Nakia Matthew 1820. That's cool. She genuinely recovered from her criminal past. That's cool. Here it's different because they see it as you are quick to adapt to the new environment and tasks. Here they don't. Here they actually really hate it.
9-volt battery is not that expensive. It's not that difficult. Please, for the love of God, change it. Again, this is distracting me beyond all reason. And for those of you who think I added that in, I swear I did not. And now I'm tempted to look up the long-form interview of this particular interview in order to hear how many times that went off. Because if you're in the local news media, how can you conduct an interview when that thing is beeping? Again, support her. I'm gonna play more clips of her positive stuff. Let's help Nakia Hamilton and her kids. But like, damn, the smoke detector. For the love of God, people, come on.
Hamilton says she always communicated with her GM when she was going to be late, and says she always was okay with it because she's a single mom and a hard worker. Hamilton says Burger King and O'Doherty used absence issues as a way to get rid of her.
Now again, we have her saying or alleging that when she communicated with her general manager that she was going to be late, this was always not a problem for this particular location. But then she ends up saying something that I think is absolutely crucial, and again, it cuts to the heart of what I was telling you earlier about how after they said it was about her latenesses, which apparently were excused via messages, and again, she always informed them when she was going to be late, they then flip it and say, no, it's actually about the controversy.
He was like, yeah, you caused the controversy, you caused too much problems for the job, you knew not to work by yourself. They literally, 2 weeks after everything went down, they literally made a whole contract after everything went down about being in the store by herself.
She says since she's gone viral, Burger King has been threatening to fire her for speaking to the media about her.
That's crazy. Threatening to fire her because she speaks to the media is crazy. That's because you guys have job security. Most places don't. Well, you would think that, but then there comes a nice thing in called a time-limited contract. That usually is a year. And that's, by the way, mostly unlimited. Like, you can just increase it a year and a year and a year, and you never know if you always have to look for a job every year at the end of the year because you just don't know whether or not this will be your last year at that place. So that's funny. That's funny. That's really funny. And, well, just because we have that rule that you can't fire someone for a reason or some. Girl, they can't find the reason. They have found reasons that they can just, so you renew every year. Some of those actually do that. Because they don't know if they need you another next year. That's the interesting part. They don't know that. So they may fire you the following year. But yeah, just because of that, we don't have that reason. They can't find a reason. And they do find a reason quite easily. Germany has an unemployment fund. Yeah, that unemployment fund is sadly not enough. Like, if my father would now get, become unemployed, we'd have to move out of the house. If we had an apartment, if my father got unemployed, we'd have to move out of the apartment and find a cheaper one. Because, like, apartments are super expensive here. So yes, that unemployment fund is not enough. Because, here's also a fun fact. A third of Germany's population cannot survive on a single job. Fun fact. A third in Germany now needs a second job. India's adapting similar shit. Employment contract for 1 year only. So they can get rid of you easier. That's the only thing they do, and that's still better. It's better, but it's still shit. It's still shit. But yes. Job security, even here, is now no longer really a thing. They can technically fire you whenever they want. For fresh graduate, they are doing this. Oh yeah, my little brother's gonna finish his apprenticeship, and he's gonna get a 1 year here as well.
Solo shifts, but says they never provided help or extra crew members for her.
Yeah, that part is absolutely key, and this is just not right, man. Again, you have somebody dedicated to the company, working, hustling, a black single mother of 3 that's actually putting in the work to provide for her kids at a job that is labor intensive, at a job that, again, is not very glamorous. She ends
at a job that does not pay well, yet she still does it and sees it as a gift from God. What more could you want as an employer?
Up going viral for this, which again was no fault of her own. Somebody just filmed her at this particular location. Then the news media takes up the case and they end up looking into her, interviewing her, profiling her. But of course, the company who did not provide her the support and did not hire the proper amount of people all of a sudden says she's an embarrassment. And they talk about a contract that they wrote up after the fact and all sorts of other crazy, absurd things that, again, cut to what I was saying earlier about this being related to embarrassment rather than being related to, you know, this woman being late or whatever the pretext was that they used against her.
Watch Fox News reached out to Burger King about the termination. In a statement, a Burger King spokesperson saying, quote, "Terminations are the decision of the franchisees who own and operate the BK restaurant. In this situation, the franchise confirmed the individual involved is no longer employed due to repeated attendance issues."
Repeated attendance issues as the only one there. As the only one there. And if you leave mid-employment, they will demand 2 months of salary with interest? Bro, I want to go back to school. No, I can't with this shit. That's absurd. That is absurd. Oh, something they've also been doing is basically they're just gonna pay you like the full salary for like until you finish the contract, right? So they get you out of there. So you can do that. And you know what's also super exploitative? See, Germans and people or long-term immigrants who have been here for generations don't ask for minimum wage, usually. So what they do is they hire people who have no skill in the field, they speak no German, they do nothing of sorts that is beneficial for the company, so that it just can give you minimum wage. So they can give that person minimum wage. That's what they're doing right now. That's why we get so many immigrants. Which is wild. That is interesting. That they've been doing this as well. And fun fact, guys, this may not be a problem yet where you live, but this will be a problem for us here in the West. Less children, more taxes for us. So we'll pay more taxes. Next generation will pay more taxes. The next generation will pay more taxes. So that's another one that's coming. If this shit happens, bro, I'm applying for an art school and getting rejected on purpose. Hit me up after you do that. I will join. Bro is waiting for that Roman salute. Really recommended type of video, huh? This is just, of course, well, this is evil what they're doing here, right?
Burger King says no one should work alone, and they're disappointed their policy wasn't followed.
So the reason I believe Nakia Hamilton is because everything she's saying rings true. Everything she's describing is exactly how I thought this was going to go. Honestly, last month when the original story broke. And in addition to that, you have the generic corporate statement from Burger King that is usually not so quick to issue these statements. And they're like, listen, hiring and firing, down to the franchise. Nothing to do with us. Wasn't me. I didn't do that. But yeah, we just want you to know that we have a policy against people working alone, and we're really sad, really upset that this policy wasn't followed here. But you know, that woman, so...
You know, we're still firing her, huh? We're still firing her. And you know, since... Another thing that's coming for me, in the next 10 to 15 years, free healthcare will no longer be a thing in Europe. That thing's through. That will disappear. At least in Germany, it will disappear. Which puts more strain on everyone! Yay! Because, they're in debt. All of them.
Late, doesn't show up on time, attendance issues. She's actually a really bad employee. I mean, I know you guys did features on how she was running the whole operation for days at a time, working 12-hour shifts by herself, but lazy, doesn't show up on time. Not a good lady. I don't know what's wrong with her. We really don't like this lady, and honestly, she's shameful in every possible way. A no good, lazy bum person who, again, was keeping this entire operation open for an extended period of time due to the fact that we can't hire adequate staff at this location. Again, disgusting in every possible way, but I want to know what you guys think about all this down in the comments below. A, who's gonna hire Nakia Hamilton? Somebody gotta do it. Somebody gotta help this lady. Somebody got her, get her on board, get that positive PR. And what do you think about Burger King and this franchise owner seemingly colluding in order to fire her because they felt embarrassed that she was just hustling this much? Again, all your thoughts down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Nakia Hamilton.
That's pretty much the end of the video. What Burger King here did was evil. You fired a single mom with 3 children who was working hard at your restaurant and thought it was a good idea to fire her, even though actually she could have been a great benefit. Who knows? You may have even been able to find somebody who would work at that location. Who knows? Maybe it would have motivated somebody to be like, hey, actually, I need a job. This woman's all alone. I'm gonna work there. Instead, you fired her. That is evil. That is evil. Definitely. And I think that I hope that she should absolutely 100% get a job. I hope she keeps up that work ethic. I hope that somebody can find the fucking father if he's still around and actually make this ass pay. I'm gonna be real, because where the fuck is he? And that's all I gotta say. Like, comment, and subscribe. That'll be a lady working hard for her babies. I hope she finds a better opportunity. Absolutely. Fuck us. Boomers who's sitting on top. All our financial problems. Remember, guys, it doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter which country you're in. All our problems started with the baby boomers.